Give me more questions.
Divine, are you a lesbian?
Yes, I have done everything.
Does blood turn you on?
It does more than turn me on, Mr. Vader. It makes me come. And more than the sight of it, I love the taste of it. The taste of hot, freshly killed blood.
Hello there. Right, I'm joined with Johann again.
Hi there.
So today we're going to talk about, we had a recent screening of Pink Flamingos, a very notorious cult film.
Yes.
And you hosted a screening of it at Derby Quad, didn't you?
Raise your hands first of all, how many of you have actually seen this movie before? How many of you haven't? Oh boy, for a treat. We are running a hopefully bi-monthly film club there called the Cult Film Club over there at the Derby Quad. It's where we're going to look at obscure cult films.
Yes.
Now, I was approached to do this particular film because around that time it was being celebrated as almost like the 50-year anniversary of this notorious film by John Waters, Pink Flamingos. And what better way to do it than being our first proper Cult Film Club screening, which has turned out surprisingly well. We had a good batch of people turn up, surprisingly a good batch of people turn up, all ready with their sick bags, ready to go.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was actually dreading it, like in a weird way, because obviously I love going to screenings and love seeing stuff that either you've hosted or stuff that we've hosted together.
Yeah.
But I'd heard so much. I'd listened to the podcast you had with Darren Buxton.
Yes.
And you went into it in lots of detail, so I knew like lots of stuff that happens in this movie.
Yes.
And everything you can think of that's offensive happens in this film.
It does happen in this movie, and some of it has admittedly not aged very well.
Yes.
But even John Waters himself has said like there's some things he would not do again if he had the chance to. And he says, like, quote, it's like being a criminal that's gone out of prison and looking back at your past crimes.
My mother and father were supportive and horrified. People said, why wouldn't you let your parents in? That's torture, that's parents abuse. What parent would be proud their son made Pink Flamingos? Really? I mean, in people's divine parents, how liberal can you be? You're in drag eating dog shit.
It's an infamous movie, it is a famous movie, it's also an important movie.
Yeah.
Despite it being literally a movie designed just to offend everybody, it's a movie that is forward-thinking when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community. It's a very openly queer film with people like Divine and a whole bunch of queer, gender-fluid characters that are very obviously there. But also, it is a movie that is almost secretly deep inside, has a very nice message, despite it being full of literally the worst things happening at the same time.
I mean, I personally wish that all the good stuff that comes out of the movie, I wish that could have been in a nice movie.
It makes sense.
Surely we could have that, but not have it in a really disgusting, horrible movie, because I think a lot of it goes over my head, because the movie it's not always gross all the way through.
No.
But there are the bits that are supposed to be really funny that I wasn't really getting, and it wasn't really. There's funny odd moments. Like I love that the grandmother's like a baby that's in like that's in a playpen and just loves eggs.
I'm in here. I hear the Eggman. In here, Mr. Eggman.
And now, Edie, what will it be today? I have grade A extra large. I have grade A large. I have medium. I have small. I have brown. And I have white.
I like that. That's very funny. But there isn't much that I like about this movie. I like the fact that Divine's a very charismatic character.
Yes.
Filth are my politics. Filth is my life. Take whatever you like.
Yes.
How's this for a center spread?
And that really leads the film, and that's good.
Yeah.
But there's just too much gross stuff that happens in this film that it loses me, you know.
That's fair, and this is something I always find kind of wary of by introducing people to Pink Flamingos, right? You're either going to absolutely 100% fall in love with it and understand that all the weird stuff is all in a weird way, like done not maliciously. Nothing bad here is done with like malintent. It's designed almost like a weird surrealist joke. It's all like, okay, what would be described now as edgelordy jokes. it's kind of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the idea of, like, for example, there is a very bizarre sex scene involving a chicken, which is uncomfortable to watch for some people. Of course it is. But the joke for me isn't the fact that there's a sex scene with a real chicken in it, and that's a whole different kettle of fish. It's the fact that you see Cotton, the woman, looking into it and being voyeuristic. And to me, that's what's funny. It's just one person staring at this nonsense and just going, yes, yes, please. So I get that, but also, yeah, if you...
For me, it's too difficult to watch because it's real, you know.
It is real, and it's sad.
I can't like get in on the side of the comedy with that because I mean I couldn't even watch it. I couldn't watch like a chicken be killed on screen, you know. Like I'm not a vegetarian either, but I just like
I get that. It's grotesque, and that's the thing is he actually says that there's two scenes he wouldn't. John Waters, in older interviews, says there's two scenes he wouldn't do again. He wouldn't do the chicken scene, and he wouldn't do the artificial insemination scene.
Oh, that's gross as well.
It's so gross. But again, it's so surreal that you laugh. That's the kind of vibe I got with these. I started laughing because how bizarre it is. To me, the funniest bit isn't the fact that there's a man jerking off and then with a syringe literally putting the syringe of his semen into another woman with a very obvious shot of a vagina. That is not the comedy. The comedy for me is this other woman ranting and raving constantly, like she doesn't stop.
I don't give a what you said, you f***ing pig. Get this body out of here. It's making me sick. When are they going to get another one? What poor girl will they get next? I know they're going to get another one. Just like when I came here, I replaced somebody, didn't I?
And for some reason, I just found that hilarious. Like, what are you going to do with her? Is it this? Are you doing that again? What's wrong with you? Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Are you going? That, to me, again, it's the weird surrealist humour coming out of this disgusting scene.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why the film, it was kind of annoying me at times because there's a lot of that one-note performance where everyone's really shouting on one level. It's not just her, that character. There's a lot of people that are not very good actors that kind of just going off on one line. Like, I've got to remember my lines. I'm going to like remember them all at an intense level. Just say it like on one note. And some people might find that hilarious, but it really got under my skin a bit. Like
there are some characters though that are genuinely, I think, generally funny the way they approach. It's like you've got the Marbles.
We feel that Raymond and I far surpass her in every aspect of the term filth.
Who are the other family trying to be the filthiest people alive. And there's one scene that personally I think sums up completely is, I think it's the scene where they do it where she's interviewing clearly like a secretary and say like, you're gonna need to do the role, and some of the lines she's saying is just brutal.
I guess there's just two kinds of people, Miss Sandstone. My kind of people and assholes. It's rather obvious which category you fit into.
So let's talk about this basically. Are there any bits that you actually found funny or some bits you liked?
As what I've already said, the bit that I found really funny, like the whole egg thing.
Yeah.
The whole eggs thing, I love, because that's very random in terms of my random humour. Like, I love the fact that there's an egg man that delivers the eggs.
Just an egg man.
And they kind of fall in love.
And they get married.
All right, Edie, we'll buy them all for you. How's that? We'll buy them all.
Oh, Cotton, you make me so happy. You and the Eggman. Please, Mr. Eggman, please don't ever quit your job. I'll always want eggs. Always and always and always.
Miss Edie, as long as there's chicken laying and truck driving and my feet walking, you be sure that I will bring you the finest of the fine.
And the last shot you see of her is her being taken away in a wheelbarrow.
I do love like the briefcase of different eggs. Like, I'll tell you why that makes me laugh, because that is very much like Vic and Bob humour.
Yeah.
You know, like I can imagine Vic Reeves or Bob Mortar playing that Eggman and like
going to house to house and saying, do you want your selection of eggs?
it's that kind of surreal, odd humour that works for me. So I really did love that. but I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else that I really found hilarious in the movie.
There's some bits for me. Again, I think I got more into it because I got so into the weirdness, the fact that this is filmed. Basically, anyone that film, even John Waters says like no one should be liking this movie, but people do, and I think he's more baffled that now it is in the National Film Library of being this to say like it is a movie that should be studied. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? It's the fact that I don't think he even likes it anymore. Yeah, he's moved beyond it.
Yeah.
You know, he's moved beyond it. Like, this was him 50 years ago. So he was in his early 20s being sort of like the hipstery filmmaker, doing a satire of all these B movies I used to like. And he just said, well, let me make a movie that offends everybody and their grandmother. And of course it does. But there is still a place for it, I feel. Like, it might not have aged well in some cases, but it's definitely got a place for it. And it has got, like I said, there's positivities in there despite the weirdness and the, and there's things I'll always remember. Like, I'll never forget A Whistling Butthole. Because of that movie.
See, I watched the whole thing with that. And it was more gross than funny, but it still was making me laugh. But I was like cringing laughing.
It is gross.
Yeah.
The reason why I was laughing is because because apparently the story behind it is that this guy just went up to John Waters and approached him, saying, "Look, I have a talent." I said, "What's the talent?" He drops trousers, about to do it, and John Waters said, no, you don't have to show me, just do it over here. He filmed it without no one reacting. It was just like a separate thing filmed on his own. All the reactions, they had no idea what they were seeing. So the fact that there's John Waters just there on his own filming a guy trying to whistle with his butt is so bizarre.
But when you told me that before seeing the film, I was expecting to hear it whistling as well, but they kind of they just put music over it. It's muted with their reactions laughing like a party scene. Yeah. And you can't hear any whistling.
You can't hear any whistling. But you definitely see that man's prostate. Okay, so this is the thing. So that was our first Cult Film Club screening. Yes. And yes, it was a big one to get into, and also one that's divisive. I clearly can see half the people in the audience not being interested or feeling a bit too much for them. But you can see some people being 100% involved, saying it's like, it splits the room. Some people say, it's a masterpiece, I love it to bits, it is over the top, it is camp, it is surrealist humor down to a T. And then there's others who say it's too gross, it's disgusting, it's dirty, what's the point of it?
Well, before we went in, I could hear people talking about it in the bar. Yeah. And I think it's a weird morbid curiosity for some people, because someone said, the barman said, "What are you going to see?" in Pink Flamingos, and he goes, "Oh, like that." It's kind of funny reaction. Then he goes, I've never seen it before. I've heard about it. I've never seen it. So it's kind of this. It's weird. It is definitely that cult thing that people have heard of, maybe. Yes. And they want to just check it out, even though they might have heard that it's gross. They just kind of want to see what the fuss is all about.
And is that kind of the point of a cult film at the end of the day? Is the idea even though you might not like it at the end, but the fact you've got to see it. Because you heard of all the stuff in there, especially the ending, which is the ending.
That's another bit I didn't watch.
I know a lot of people would watch it, but the fact that it literally ends with a poop-eating grin. What a way to end a movie. But yeah, it's a divisive film, but it's a film that I still think is important. It's a movie that is still almost a definition of a cult film, and that's why we had to play it for the Cult Film Club first screening.
This looks more my street, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's got Jeff Goldblum as a cowboy.
Yeah, and it's got RoboCop in it.
It's got RoboCop, who is every profession under the sun. So yeah, thank you for joining us for our little discussion of our first film club screening. So
and if you are local to the area of Derbyshire, these events are on at the Quad Cinema.
Yes.
So yeah, come along. Look at the Quad's website and see what pops up. And we'll be having a screen soon in January.
In January, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope to see you there.
See you next time, guys.
Bye.